Hi there, welcome to today's painting tutorial. Today we are going to paint a candy cane with some holly berries on top. So let's get started, and don't forget to grab the sketch in the description below. I'm going to start with a size 8 flat brush, and I want to put a base for the candy cane. So I'm going to pick up some white paint and start putting that in. And then along with the white paint, we want to put a shadow along the bottom. So let's mix up a shadow color. I'm going to take some of this burnt umber and let's mix a little bit with this light blue. See if we can get a gray tone. And then let's put this shadow along the bottom of the candy cane. And then I'm also going to add some straight light blue in here. And it's going to give a nice shadow. Okay, we'll come up along this edge. And then let's go up this way. So we'll take that white. And it's okay if you cover up the drawing or the sketch. I want a nice white highlight. Bring it along this way. And then we want that shadow in there. So I'll take some of the shadow and some of the light blue. And let's bring that shadow along the bottom. Okay, so now let's move to the stripes. I'm going to grab a smaller flat brush. I have a size 3 here. And let's pick up some of this really bright red. We have this beautiful cadmium red. And let's see if we can use the brush and then go along some of these stripes. I'm just going to press the brush down and then lift up. Press it down and lift up. If you do this with just one stroke, you're going to get some nice clean lines. You can add a little bit of water if you need to thin down the paint. Then let's come along this section. And I'm just starting at the top, wiggling that brush, bringing it down in one motion. Then we can do this one up here. And if you want to make the line thicker, you could even do 2 brush strokes. So we'll do this one here. We'll come down. It's almost like a V shape. And then this one over here. Add a little bit more paint to that one. Okay, and if you wanted a shadow, you can mix a shadow color. And we can take some of this burnt umber with some of the red. And we might pop just a bit of that dark color along the bottom to create a shadow in these stripes. Okay, just a really light, subtle shadow to give it some dimension. Okay, and if you added too much of the dark color, you can rinse the brush and come back with some bold paint and then put another layer on top so it's a little smoother. Okay, so now let's work on the leaves. I'm going to use a size 1 dome brush for this. And I want to start by making a shadow color. So we'll take some of this Hooker's green and some of this dark brown and create a nice shadow. It's going to be a nice dark green color. And then let's start putting that in. So I'm going to go along the base of some of these leaves with this dark color. And then pick up a mid-tone. So we'll just take a straight hooker's green and start adding some of that in. And then in the center, I want to get lighter. So we could take some of this yellow ochre, mix that with some of the green. And that'll add a bit of yellow in there, some lighter value. Then I'm also going to pick up that white and then put some little highlights in the leaves with the white. Just places I want to show up. Okay, so let's do that same pattern. I'm going to take the dark brown with some hooker's green. I'm going to go around these berries as much as I can and put a nice shadow color. And then we'll take that straight hooker's green, add some of that in, and then pick up some of that yellow ochre. And then we'll grab some white and put a bit of a highlight in there. Okay, another thing you can do is take some of the light blue and some of the hooker's green, and that can make a bit of a minty color green, which will be really nice for some cooler shadows. So let's work on these over here. Take that dark color we mixed up. I'm going to go around these berries. And then continue with that dark color. Add more brown if you need to. Just put those in. And then grab that lighter green. Take some white. And then put some of the white in as well for highlights. Okay, I'm going to do the next one here. I'm going to take more hooker's green. And then some of this dark brown. And then the yellow ochre mixture. Start putting that in. I might take some of this cooler green and introduce that as well. Pick up some white and start adding a bit of a highlight. It's going to make some of these values a little bit lighter and allow them to show up. Okay, let's do this one up here. So we'll start with that dark color for our shadow. And then we'll take some of the yellow ochre mixture. I'm going to take some of that mint green, pull that in, and then a bit of the white to create the highlight. Okay, so we're working really wet and wet here. Okay, so let's rinse off the brush. I like the way this brush is working. So the one dome brush, I'm going to use that to put in these berries. So I want a dark shadow. Nice dark color. And if it mixes with the green, that's okay because it'll actually darken it even further. And then we'll take a straight red, put that in. This dome brush creates a nice natural round shape. And then we want to highlight those. So you can take some white. You might want to rinse off the brush if you have any dark brown in the brush. So we can get a nice bright highlight. And sometimes you can just mix the white to get some of that color out. A lot of it hides in the brush. We'll take a clean white and see if we can blend little highlights in there. And I'm going to continue to blend these. so that they're not too intense. Okay, and if you wanted to add more shadow, you can go back and add a little bit more shadow. Another layer of dark brown, and then sort of blend them in. Okay, so now I'm going to add some highlights. I'm going to do this with a size 0 liner brush. And let's do that for the leaves first. So I'm going to take a yellow ochre and mix it with some of the white paint. I want a nice golden color here. And I'm going to roll that brush in the paint so it's well covered. And then let's use that to put some detail on these little holly leaves here. Just small little lines to create that extra detail. And I can even take some of the dark brown and add that in as well to create some more detail. Okay, so now let's make a highlight for the candy cane. And for that, I want to use some white paint. And I'm using this liner brush, so I'm rolling that brush in the paint. And then we can come right here and then add a highlight and then bring it up here. And that's really going to make it shine. You're going right on top of those red stripes. Then you're going to come down this way. Okay, could do it a few times to get that beautiful glossy appearance. Okay, and I think we will call this demonstration complete. That is how you can paint a Christmas candy cane with acrylic paints. I hope you give this a try. Like and subscribe if you like painting tutorials. If you want to go deeper into painting with me, download my free guide in the description below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.